the more important manifestation that I would like to make today, Your Honor, is in relation to a social media post that I happened to see. And this was posted at 11:29 a.m. by one of the private prosecutors, Attorney Amando Virgil Ligutan, posting that a principal or lawyers and law students know by heart misleading questions are not allowed even in cross-examination. Now, this was posted and picked up by Inquirer.net at 11:29 a.m. today. And I surmise that this has something to do with the exchange between the private prosecutor, Attorney Kapunan, and the defense counsel, Attorney Ferrer, on the matter of the cross-examination question that Attorney Ferrer asked the prosecution's witness. And I have here a transcript because I find it troubling that a private prosecutor would do this in the middle of a courtroom hearing. Because as far as I'm concerned, impeachment court is also a court of decorum. And the rules on impeachment under Rule 18 actually prohibits participants, especially lawyers, from commenting about the merits of the case. Now, one may argue that this isn't about the merits of the case, that he probably was just commenting about what ought or ought not to do in a cross-examination, but we're not naive. What the private prosecutor is talking about, he's here, he can explain it. He can explain himself if the presiding officer so desires, but I really just find it in bad taste to do this at this time. And I think it is inappropriate to do that to a fellow member of the bar, because even as we sit on the opposing side of this hall, we remain to be both members of the bar, and as officers of the court, we owe each other respect, politeness, or even kindness. And it doesn't take one to be a lawyer to know that the first thing that our parents teach us to do is humility.
Your Honor?
No, I'm not yet done, Your Honor. In fact, I have asked one of our lawyers to review the actual transcript from the video that transpired between the prosecutor and Attorney Ferrer, and it would seem that in the heat of the exchange, or in the passionate exchange of the arguments between the prosecutor and Attorney Ferrer was not even actually referring to misleading questions as allowed, as implied in the social media post of Attorney Ligutan. In fact, it's here. The court can confirm this from a replay of the video. Attorney Ferrer, sinabi ho ba yan sa JC na dapat may mahuli? The witness answers, ang nakalagay po kasi sa JC under 4.8.2 ay proof of success. Attorney Ferrer, hindi. Sorry, Your Honor, please. Attorney Kapunan, let the witness answer, Your Honor. Mr. Presiding Officer, can the counsel be instructed not to stop the witness mid-sentence, Your Honor? Attorney Ferrer, Your Honor, please, can the witness be directed to just answer with yes or no? The counsel has her time to ask clarificatory questions later during redirect, Your Honor. And Attorney Kapunan, not all questions can be answered by yes or no. This is the meat of the contention of the argument between Attorney Kapunan and Attorney Ferrer. Attorney Ferrer responded, I am on cross, Your Honor, please. And the presiding officer said, counsels. Attorney Kapunan responded, never mind if you are on cross, Your Honor. There are limits to cross-examination. Misleading questions are not allowed on cross. This was the first time that the matter on misleading questions was actually raised by Attorney Kapunan. And Attorney Ferrer, for some reason, said they are allowed, but she was pertaining to the fact that the questions to which a yes or no answer may be answerable are allowed. She's not referring to misleading. I mean, in effect, Attorney Ferrer was only saying that leading questions are allowed on cross-examination, not misleading questions, and yet we have a private prosecutor immediately taking to social media and posting this, implying something against the defense counsel. We will not have this.
Your Honor, in the interest of fair play, may I request that the counsel for the panel of prosecutors, Attorney Virgil Ligutan, be recognized, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, counsel, no, the presiding officer will not allow that at this time. The presiding officer takes in advisement the manifestation of the counsel, the lead counsel for the respondent, because quite frankly, Honorable Luistro, I asked the clerk of court to monitor the public statements of the counsels of the parties this past week. And one side has been crossing the line many times. And in fact, the presiding officer is already in the process of drafting a ruling and a warning and an order pertaining to this. Because clearly, I can even name all of you who have been commenting on social media in violation of Rule 18 of the impeachment rules. But I will do that on Monday, perhaps, after taking advisement, the manifestation of the counsel for respondent. It's not really so much being cordial or nice or kind, but it's a basic violation of Rule 18. I already talked to the parties 2 weeks ago, reminding you that you might want to consider appointing spokespersons who are not part of the panel of prosecutors nor a private prosecutor, but you insist on maintaining that. So after 2 weeks, the court is constrained to make a decision and ruling on that. But we will do that on Monday with the permission of both counsels. Then we will hear you, counsel, and we will hear Attorney Ligutan prior to the court's ruling on the matter. But be advised that again, we have it all on tape. We have been monitoring everything. We may not enumerate it one by one, but we will make the corresponding ruling on Monday. Thank you for bringing that up, counsel. It gives me a reason to actually issue the ruling, which we have prepared and have been preparing the past few days.
Alam mo, napakaraming rason kung bakit ako nababahala dyan sa 7.2 billion na budget na yan. Ano?
Trillion.
Unang-una, galing siya sa mataas na base na. No? So in the past 4 years, alam naman natin na maraming insertions dun sa previous budget. So kumbaga parang pinasok na nila yung mga insertions na yun dito sa kanilang National Expenditure Program. So 7.2. Nung panahon ng previous administration, ang average lang yan ay less than 4 trillion. Ano? So ngayon 7 trillion na. So yan, isa yan sa pinakamalaking concern ko. Ikalawa, yung execution risk. No? So ano ibig sabihin ng execution risk? Yun yung paggamit mismo ng budget na yan. Kasi in the past nga, ang taas-taas ng budget pero ang GDP growth natin ay pababa. Kaya itong second quarter ay 2.3% na lang. Normally, pag malaki ang budget, so magiging stimulus yun ng economy para tumaas kasi dapat nagbibigay ng trabaho through the projects ang gobyerno. No? Pero wala tayong nakikitang pagbabago, imbes tumataas pa ang unemployment rate. Kasi ikatlo, ang pinakamalaking concern ko, uutang na naman sila kasi yung 7.2, ang program deficit niya ay 1.7 trillion. Okay? So kung idadagdag mo yan dun sa program deficit this year na 1.6, so malamang more than 21 or almost 22 trillion na magiging utang ng national government. No? As of now, yung debt to GDP ratio natin ay 66% na. 22-year high yan, yung 66%. So pag umabot yan ng tawag dito ng 22 trillion, malamang over 70% to GDP na, since hindi naman tumataas ang ating GDP pero lumalaki yung utang. So ang mangyayari diyan, manghihina yung piso, tapos baka maging inflationary pa to kasi nga may supply constraints dahil hindi na ma-manage ng ating gobyerno yung supply constraints ngayon, kaya mataas ang inflation. So
Opo.
napakaraming concerns.
Opo. Pero doon sa issue ng prioritization, sa tingin po ninyo, tama ho yung pagbibigay ng priority ng gobyerno. Sa ngayon, may pinakamataas po yung education, pumapangalawang public works, pangatlo yung health, at pang-apat yung sa DILG at defense yung top 5 po. na may pinakamalaking alokasyon po dito sa ating 2027 national budget. Anong masasabi po ninyo?
Yun nga yung yun nga yung concern ko kasi in the past malaki nga yung mga budgets diyan kumbaga yung sinasabi nila sa press release nila ay mainly lip service kasi previous years na naman talaga mataas ang budget sa education, sa public works, pero ano ang resulta, 'di ba? Napakarami pang schools na hindi na itatayo or classrooms, tapos sa DPWH talamak ang corruption, walang napapanagot. So malamang ganyan din ang mangyayari this next year. At next year pa naman, syempre mag-e-election na, no. So ang concern diyan ng mga politiko ay maka-raise ng funds para sa susunod na eleksyon sa 2028. Kaya napakalaki talaga ng execution risk diyan sa 7.2 trillion na yan. At sinasabi ko nga, in the previous administration, hindi yan tumataas ng 4 trillion, pero napakaraming naipatay yung mga gusali at mga airports tsaka mga pantalan So ngayon wala tayong nakikitang ganun. Kaya mababa yung efficiency, kumbaga hindi efficient ang paggamit nila ng budget.
Doon naman sa flood control projects, anong pangamba mo? Dahil kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nasa 107.4 billion pesos yung inilaang pondo para po dyan. Ma'am, ano po ang pangamba ninyo?
Well, it remains to be seen kasi mga flood control ng... Naririnig mo ba ako?
Yes, go ahead po.
Jade?
Medyo na puputol-putol ng konti. Yeah, ma'am. Okay na po.
Yeah. Kasi ang concern ko nga dyan yung execution, no? So, kaya ba nilang itayo yan ng 1 taon? Tingin ko hindi naman kaya kasi matagalan ng at least makapagbigay sila ng trabaho. Pero kung sabihin nila na next year wala nang baha, napaka-imposible nun kasi ngayon pa lang kitang-kita natin, habagat pa lang ang dami ng nabahang regions, no? So, medyo talagang hanggang ngayon nababahala ako dyan sa budget na yun.
Opo. Pero ang paglalaan ng pondo ay tama lang naman, ma'am. Doon lang sa execution yung medyo kayo nakikita yung parang may red flag talaga. At dapat yan ang matugunan ng pamahalaan. Tama ho ba?
Hindi, actually, tingin ko sobrang taas yan Sobrang taas kasi nga galing yan sa mataas na base tapos tinaasan pa. At yung mga previous budgets, may mga insertions doon na hindi talaga napunta sa taong bayan Hindi napunta sa mga projects. Kaya kung tutusin, kung dati 4 trillion nakapagpatayo ng marami, bakit ngayon 7.2 trillion? Sobra-sobra yan.
Opo. Ngayon, lalo na, patuloy yung mga pagbaha na nararanasan ng ating mga kababayan.
Oo.
So, dapat yung pondo na yan, kahit sobra-sobra, mapunta doon mismo.
Pero ang tingin ko nga dahil election na sa 2028, marami diyan mga politiko na mag-iipon na yan ng pangkampanya nila, 'di ba? Gagamitin na nila yan pangkampanya.
Opo. At sabi po ng presidente, idinisenyo daw itong budget na ito panglabanan yung epekto ng gulo sa Middle East at matagal na El Nino na magpapataas sa presyo po ng pagkain.
Hindi ako naniniwala doon kasi nga wala naman silang long-term solution dyan sa oil crisis na yan. Hanggang ngayon, walang pinapasang bill ang Kongreso tungkol sa price regulation, sa yung sa paggawa ng stock ng mag-stock tayo ng mas maraming langis, di ba? Para maibsan talaga in the long term yung ating problema dyan sa oil supply, no? Tapos wala naman silang binibigay na subsidy. Alam mo, isa pa nga palang concern ko, yung revenue, no? Kasi hindi siya tumataas kasing bilis ng expenditure, kaya malaki nga yung fiscal deficit, no? So, kung talagang kung talagang tapat sila sa gusto nila maging efficient, no? Dapat tuunan din nila ng pansin yung revenue collection. Pero baka mangyari diyan, magtaas na naman sila ng buwis kasi ang laki na ng utang Yun ang concern ko diyan So maraming imbalances sa budget.
Lalo na sila mismo nagbigay ng pahayag na nakatutok yung pondo sa edukasyon, sa kalusugan, sa kabuhayan upang tulungan ang mga Pilipino sa gitna ng krisis sa ekonomiya.
Yeah, asahan mo puro ayuda na naman yan. Kasi sa ayuda maraming leakage, no? So, diyan sila kumukuha ng mga pangampanya. So, asahan natin, mataas na naman ang ayuda imbis na magbigay sila ng trabaho.
Opo. Bago ko lang ipasa kay partner Admar, Ma'am Cora, ilan po sa mga alkalde nagsasabi na meron pa ring masasabi na may tutunog na pork barrel dito. Yun nga, sabi mo, insertion, parang halos magkatulad lang yata yan, no? Dito sa panukalang budget po natin. Kayo ba naniniwala din doon?
Pinalitan lang nila yung pangalan ng pork barrel sa insertion or unprogrammed funds, di ba? So, malamang yung mga program, yung iba dyan malilipat na naman sa unprogrammed kagaya ng ginawa nila in the past years, no? In fact, ang Supreme Court nga hinihingi yung BICAM report, di ba? Hanggang ngayon, ewan ko kung naibigay na nila sa Supreme Court kasi doon nagpapalit yung doon nagpapalit yung expenditure program compared to the government, yung GAA, yung GAA, yung General Appropriations Act.
Cora, magandang umaga, si Admar po ito. Tumaas
Hi,
po
Admar.
at least 6% yung budget natin ngayon. Sinasabi nga na balik ulit yung pagpopondo doon po sa flood control po natin this year at dinidepensahan ito din ng ilang mga mambabatas meron ng naging vocal. Nagkaroon na ba ang gobyerno ng kumbaga parang nakagain na ba siya ng kumpiyansa para sa mga kababayan natin nitong nakalipas para kumbaga ito, introduce namin ulit na maglalaan kami ng pondo para dito sa flood control na naging sentro ng kontrobersya nitong mga nakalipas na taon.
Paano magkakakumpiyansa? Hindi na isoli yung ninakaw, di ba? Kasi magkano ba yung nawala sa budget natin based on some of the research, more than 800 billion. Tapos ang sinabi ni Pangulo nung SONA, ang naisoli pa lang sa national government ay 800 million. Napakalayo pa niyan doon sa talagang nawawalang pera. So ngayon, magbibigay na naman sila from our taxes ng additional funds for flood control. So kung talagang tapat sila, dapat bawiin nila yung mga nanakaw. Tapos yun ang gamitin para sa flood control projects. Pero wala silang ginagawa doon sa issue na yon, di ba? Sa mga ninakaw. Yung mga contractors na hindi nag-deliver, nasa na yung mga contractors na yon? Bakit si Diskaya lang ang nakakulong?